another thing that's much more tightly controlled going forward is rent increases. Um, so any kind of informal ad hoc rent review clauses are no longer valid. You can't really call up a tenant and say, hey, I'm going to increase your rent by £10 a month from next month. Is that okay? Um, no, we can't do that anymore. All rent increases, it must go through the formal Section 13 process with a minimum of 2 months' notice. There are new forms as well for the Section 13 form since the 1st of May. Any increase also needs to be based on market value and supported by evidence. It can't just be arbitrary. Um, and tenants do still have the right to challenge rent increase at tribunal, as they always have. However, there's a couple of important practical changes. There is a £47 fee for tenants to challenge. And any increase, it does only take place after the tribunal decision, not before, so it's not backdated. Um, Another very interesting new change is that tenants actually have the ability to challenge rent within the first 6 months of moving in. Uh, yeah, I mean, they can just move in. Perhaps they see an advert or something for a property in the same area. They feel that's a few pounds, like £10 cheaper or something. So they feel, oh, not kind of taking into consideration the facilities and everything like that, and just feel like, yeah, I want to challenge my current rent because I've seen something that I deem the same for a little cheaper. Yeah.
Yeah, even
Um,
go on.
oh, I was just going to say, so there's no financial penalties as such for this, but rent increase will be invalid if served by other methods.
Mhm. Yeah, the thing about tenants challenging rent in the first 6 months of moving in, when I heard that on a training seminar, I didn't actually believe it. I thought it was quite ludicrous. And
Yeah.
so I went to the actual renters' rights legislation and read through the
Mm.
legislation and found the clause on there that states that rent can be challenged within the first 6 months of a tenant moving in. I think this is where they think that landlords overprice properties, for example. So I don't know, maybe you're advertising your averagely priced property, 1,377, but you're advertising it for 1,577, let's say a couple of £100 over. And the tenant is moves in, he agrees, moves in, and then sees there's a property down the road, as Christine said, that's cheaper. And it's like, hey, but my property is more expensive. But so then they can challenge it. And obviously that won't be affected. So unlike the rent increase, you don't see the increase until the tribunal has made their decision, which could be 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 8 months. We don't know how long that's all going to be at this point in time.
The tribunals are usually quick, right?
Well, who knows, right? And, I mean, every people used to rely on fixed term tenancy renewals in order to increase, well, not everyone. We used to do Section 13s actually, didn't we? But most agents would rely on tenancy renewals and negotiate a rent increase at that point. So the tribunal hasn't had to deal with Section 13 as the only method to increase rent. So we've got no idea what it's going to be like for them. If we've got tenants who have just moved in and they want to challenge the rent after moving in, then that might take 6, 8 months to go through a tribunal as well. And the tenant would have to continue paying the original rent that you had agreed on. But it's only once the tribunal investigates it. And if they decide, yes, you're overcharging, it needs to be reduced to 1,377, then that's what will happen going forwards. I believe, again, the backdating doesn't occur for this situation. But again, there wasn't so much information about that, so we don't really know what's going to happen until it plays out in practice.
Yeah.
But everything else, I think with the Section 13, it's quite easy. You just need to time the market, when to apply the increase and know what rents are being achieved across the market at different times a year and make sure that you're um, uh, increasing your rent to an amount that suits the season rather than what you've always just thought was correct. So if everyone was renting in summer, that was the high season. But if people are renting at different times a year going forwards, there's different seasons and different prices that can be achieved at
Needs
different.
to take that, yeah, needs to take that into consideration.